as long as you like the practice, the game day will always be worth it.
Basically, you're built different. Today, we have on Keltie O'Connor, a lifestyle fitness creator that's been posting every week for the last 9 years.
And like even when I first started YouTube, I was uploading like 3 times a week, which is crazy.
With an audience of over 700,000 subscribers and over 240 million views, she shares the valuable insights on how to succeed as a creator on YouTube.
I think a lot of people glamorize wanting to be a full-time creator, and I think we need to break that bubble. I think you have to work 2 jobs. Like, how do you make this like boring topic exciting? How do you make this mundane topic that maybe your audience would like more than you like making? And how do you make it so you enjoy filming it?
If you want to learn about how to build a sustainable career on YouTube from a prolific creator, then this episode is for you.
I don't think we'll fear virality enough. Like the trap of it. There's a dark side. I lived it for 2 years.
Keltie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You are I want to say like this is an understatement, but you are a prolific creator
thank you.
Really impressive consistency. I was like doing research and looked at like your not latest, but the oldest YouTube post, which was like 9 years ago. And I kind of just like scrolled through, watched a couple. And it looks like you posted every single week. And I know when I asked you, some periods, in the earlier periods, you were posting like 3 times a week, which is just insane to me. This isn't even short form video. This is long form YouTube. And my first question to that was just like, how? Like, that's so impressive to me because we struggle a lot with consistency. I feel like it's like, how do you manage to be so consistent for so long, for 9 years? How do you do it?
This might not be the best answer some people want to hear, but I do think it's how I'm built. And I think that's where it comes back to sports. Okay. Is like, I realized I really thrive off routine. I really thrive off consistency. And like, I'm happiest when I have like a goal and a consistent routine. And so I started sports when I was, 2-3 years old, and you had practice every day after, like, I think my entire, probably from grade 3 onwards to grade 12, I had practice every day after school. I was lucky if it was 1 practice. It was usually 2 practice, and you had practice in the morning. And then I went on to play college basketball, and every day was practice that. So like, you're just used to routine. Every Friday, Saturday is game day. And like, my whole life has always been structured around like game day. And like, when I lost it, I realized like I was really lost for a couple of years when sports was gone. And like, so it just felt like really natural to just have that routine of a week, like really set up my week as in like upload schedule is almost like game day for me. Like you spend the whole week preparing for it, going, and like, maybe it's not how everyone's hardwired. And I think there's other ways. I'm not saying like this is the only way to be consistent, but for me, that's what worked for me. And I realized like I thrive off that. And talking to some other creators, like creativity isn't always a consistent thing for some people. It's what like some of my favorite creators are just like, don't create for weeks on end. And then suddenly they get a just spark of creativity and they make the best art ever. So it like really just depends on you. But like, I just feel like I'm happiest when I have that consistent routine. And kind of so when I set my mind up for said routine structure, I stick to it almost to a fault. And like even when I first started YouTube, I was uploading like 3 times a week, which is crazy. And I knew nothing, but I'm really glad because obviously no one was watching back then. And so it really forced me to harbor the skill of creating content and storytelling. And like the videos back then you would have saw it would have been awful and unwatchable, but it forced me to do that. And eventually you kind of get to a point where also you're like, okay, what's the point of uploading 3 times? Like you're just rushing and not even putting work in. Like then suddenly you're like, try 2 times and put more effort into it. So I think like you also have to like reflect on the consistency sometimes. But I do think it comes down to like how you're hardwired and leaning into how you're hardwired. So I think anyone who's an athlete right now listening, like was like, just gets that.
Yeah.
But people who maybe weren't an athlete or weren't musicians that had just that structured practice, I don't know if that would be the most like optimal way for them to think.
Basically, you're built different.
I was like,
you're built different.
Just built like an athlete. I think there's a few of us, I guess, built different in some ways. Yeah.
It's interesting because the previous guest that we had on episode 1, Drew, he's an athlete, ex-athlete, but he's like, he hires ex-athletes because they get, the consistency and being disciplined. It's kind of just comes naturally.
Yeah.
How do you come up with so many ideas? And, we work on your videos and my brother who is involved with editing your videos. I'm like, what do you want to ask Keltie? And he's like, how does she come up with so many ideas?
Yeah.
So I think that's like the question that follows. Do you have like a system for coming up with ideas? What's kind of your process for that?
It's going to be different for everyone, but work for me is like, it's multiple different reasons. But I want to say it was Rick Rubin who came up with this, but I don't think it was him. Maybe it was Robert Greene or just one of those big thinkers.
Yeah.
I'm going to completely steal their quote. And it's like, just write down every idea that comes to mind. 90% of them will be crap, but 10% will be amazing. And like, I used to always just feel really guilty because I'd have so many ideas and like, just like all these, and they were always swirling in my head and couldn't sleep and all this. And so over the years, I've really just like found ways to like every idea, every single thing I see, write it down, put it. And so I use Notion, but just like multiple videos. So I think at all times I have like 200 video ideas. Are those worth making? Probably not. Like maybe, and it's kind of like, and just writing down any idea, anything I hear, like, and I just really try and pay attention to like, especially I'm in the fitness niche.
Yes.
So I pay attention to like my friends. Cause like, it's one thing I'm really deep in the fitness niche.
Yeah.
So like, I know what people are studying at universities and all this stuff, and the general population won't know. Like I knew what High Rocks was in 2020. Back then, most people wouldn't.
Yeah.
But suddenly a couple months ago, my friends started asking me like, have you heard of High Rocks? I'm like,
yes.
Okay.
Right.
This is like noted. Like you're starting, and like once I start repetitively hearing these ideas I've written down are becoming more commonly heard. And then so I start narrowing it down. And so it's kind of like you have all these ideas. What keeps repeating? What do I really think like more people are asking me from? And then suddenly I'm like, hey, this is it. And within all those ideas, any research I do, anything I hear, ideas, I add it into that. So, I'll have a page marked with creatine. And then anytime I hear anything about creatine, I just pop it in there until eventually it's like, oh, there's enough people are talking, or it's a fully formed video. I don't know which will come first. But that's kind of the main way I come up with just like my ideas. But then there's also research where you go and like, I'm sitting on Google and we're going deep, and we're going to go on I go and look at every magazine headlines. I feel magazines are underappreciated for ways to look into ideas of what's trending because they have all the SEO and, Women's Health and Vogue have all those research and all that. I'm not an SEO optimist,
right.
But also I'll go and like Google trending, ask ChatGPT. I'll just scroll on TikTok for a long time and like make sure I'm specifically looking for something and stuff like that. And so research or just random ideas.
And is the research more like the time you put aside more intentionally, and then the other stuff just comes whenever?
Yeah. So every Monday and Friday, there's like research time, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, what's trending? Or if I have a specific video that I've decided I'm like, this is what we're working on, then I'm researching that video. But usually like once a week at least, I'll specific. And then usually every, couple of weeks, I really go through that entire archive of videos, ideas I have, and see what's I think's worth it. And like it took me a while because I think you also have to let go of you're not a bad creator because you have ideas that aren't good.
Yeah.
Like I think I used to really feel bad that I come up with all these ideas and like I had to make this video because I had this idea. I was like, you don't have to. Put it away. And then I've had that happen, and 4 years later, I'm like, oh, now I want to make it, but it wasn't the right time. Where like just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's good. So you have to do the research into it. But then every once in a while, you just have to trust your gut. And I know that's a lot of different options, but I think, and that's the hard part about creativity and the science behind it is like, it's a feel, but it's a science, and it's just, you get better at it over time though.
From what it sounds like, it's like the random stuff and you jot it down and it just comes naturally sometimes, whenever, and then a dedicated time. When you have these random ideas, and you said a lot of these are bad, and I heard you mention it, but do you validate the ideas by just being observant and, like what comes up more often? Like you said, High Rocks comes up more often. Okay, that might be a good video idea. Is it just being observant? Is that the way to kind of validate the ideas you have? And I know you said some is just gut.
It's a little hard, but I will say one thing I've noticed, like when I come up with most of my ideas is like, there's like 3 probably areas. I know for a lot of people, it's like in the shower, and occasionally I do have that. But for me, it's usually like working out or walks when music's playing. I feel like I get really inspired, and especially I'm like not on my phone. I'm just in a very like creative space. Like if I ever want to be inspired, I'll like go to a Barry's class just to be off my phone and listen to music and move my body, and ideas will come. And what I'm saying with that is like, so I'll write said idea down. When I come back to it a day later, sometimes it was just the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that seemed like a great idea because I was in this vibe, this music. And then when you sit down, you're like, no one cares about this really niche random idea. And like, so like you said, sometimes you just have to accept that the idea was bad and there's nothing around it. It just seemed like a good idea. And then sometimes you just do the research.
I want to talk, obviously, you're a YouTuber, and a big part of YouTube videos, a lot of people say, is it's not actually a video platform, but more of a packaging platform, right? I hear people say that. Colin Samir talks a lot about that. I'm curious, what is your approach to packaging thumbnails, titles, and all that? Do you have a specific process? Like, how do you come up with the right titles and thumbnails for your videos?
It's changed a lot throughout the years. Probably back in the day when I was like really taking YouTube seriously, probably when I first started, it was just like, oh, I saw someone else do a copy. And then it got to the point of like really researching like what the most trending videos are, what people are doing, and kind of have an idea of like just shock factor. And I think I really went for the shock factor of like fitness like loves a before and after. So you always go with that. And I think you see what else is trending and you try and make your own version. And it's really changed for me in the last like couple of years because I think people really hate making the thumbnail and I get why. And I was like, what happened if I made this the funnest part about YouTube? And I actually love making thumbnails. Like I hired people out for a little while to do it. And I think it's like one of the most creative, fun parts. And like I think of it like an art project now. And so for me, it works. I go on Pinterest because I find Pinterest really inspiring. Whatever video it is, I just go and look and I storyboard. So just kind of like people would do for a magazine cover or like a photo shoot. They would go and, collect other photos and not necessarily copied photos, but even vibes. Like, I mean, if it's like my morning routine, I'm going to go look at pretty photos of coffee and lemons and like coffee shops in London because I'm inspired by London in the morning, or go to old school. I love to look at old magazines, like, 1980s fashion shoots or, women's health and like look at the shoots
online,
they do.
Or is that?
Both. Like anywhere, like I'm taking photos constantly. Like if you see me in airports, I'm like flipping through magazines and taking photos and like just when I'm out and about and like I love seeing old artwork. So like you never know when the inspo will happen, but like I try and find inspiration from that. And then, so I just really try to create like a photo that like people look at and I'm like, oh, that's nice. And like, it's also intriguing because it's also packaging. Like you said, I'm not like, it's just like, I'm really envious of like pure artistic YouTubers who just make like a beautiful photo. I'm like, I do have to lean into a bit of the intrigue, but it's almost like a movie trailer, a movie photo, like, not trailer, what's the term?
Poster?
Like poster, movie poster. And then like, but with like art to it. And I really try and think of it like that way. And so like, I want people to see it and just like get a little spark of joy. They're like, oh, that's a pretty photo. Just like when you see a pretty photo in a magazine or a piece of art. And like, I'm not perfect like that, but sometimes that's, and then I just go out and I plan full photo shoots for my thumbnails instead of like just getting it during the video. Like I'll go sit out and be like, let's try and make something. And I'm still not perfect, but I'm getting better, I think.
Yeah, no, I heard like this is a creative director or something, but he pulls inspo from magazines. He recommends doing that, like mediums that's not just on YouTube. Because if you do that, then you end up looking like everyone else.
Yeah.
I feel like the physical medium is kind of neglected these days.
Yeah.
So that's actually interesting to hear that you do pull. And there's probably a lot of good stuff, right?
So much. And like, I think one of the coolest examples, this will probably not mean anything to you, but Hailey Bieber had this photo shoot. It was like inspired by like Princess Diana, this athleisure. And it like lives rent free in my head that she was like on this tennis court looking like Princess Diana and just that whole vibe of like from originally seeing the fashion that Princess Diana was probably inspired by. And then years later, Hailey was inspired by, and they made it just something about that. Like, it's not like you're stealing, but just like keeping the inspiration going. Like, I think that's really cool. And like we said, we see so much online, but just going back to old school. And that's how you like, it's not crazy, but it's like not the same as everything else.
Yeah. It's not as common now in the digital age. When it comes to packaging, so our friend, Downey Live. I also work with him, and he always says, Andrew, you got to think about the title first when you think of an idea, and then think about the video. Is that similar to yours? Like, do you think about titles and thumbnails first? Like, he'll probably like make the thumbnail and then like come with the titles first before he even goes and shoots the video. Is that a similar approach to you?
Ish. Like, it's one of those things that I know my videos would probably do better if I took the Mr. Beast approach and the Downey, in the sense of like, if the video title isn't great, doesn't matter. But also a lot of like mine is SEO. It's a lot of like trending things. So like I always think like a lot of the topics in the fitness world aren't sexy. So I feel like a lot of the topics are really beneficial. Like people actually want this. They actually want to hear this. It's not just like a wow factor. It's not just entertainment. It's also like science and facts and what's trending. So I always just think, I'm like, how do I make a really boring title sexy? And I like to think of that with a lot of my content. Like a lot of my content in the fitness industry and the health and sciences is really boring.
Yeah.
I'm like, but how do we make it not boring? So how do I take a title that's like 10 steps to your morning routine? And how do I make it slightly not crazy that people like are hooked in, but just people go, interesting. Like that's like, I think the difference with mine is like every once in a while, the title, back to what you're saying, like the title will come first.
Yeah.
And I'll think of something. I'm like, oh, that's a good video. But then a lot of times it's just the idea and then try and make it more exciting.
And what have you found are kind of the words you use that makes a more boring topic sexier?
It's always just like something a little unique.
Okay.
I think, and it's just like people are trying to find like the hidden gem. Yeah. And I think it's about that, whether it just be like the word unique, 12 unique healthy habits. Or instead of just being like, for example, the one I did this week, instead of everyone does healthy habits videos, myself included, that's like my bread and butter. But this one was like 12 healthy habits I quit. And then suddenly people are just like, oh, wait, it was a healthy habit that's bad? What healthy habits am I doing that's bad? And like that kind of mindset. So just like little things like that, I feel are most beneficial.
And do you have a process for experimentation? Like, do you kind of put a YouTube title or thumbnail and then do you see how it does and then change it? Or how do you kind of like, do you have an experimentation process for like testing titles and thumbnails?
Well, during the week, I'm working on the videos. I'm always really like going back to the title, I'm like, how do we make this better? How do we make this better? I usually like each video in my Notion in the script, I'll have a whole bunch of other titles. Yeah. And like sometimes every once in a while, there's so many different resources. Like I don't use it often, but just throw it in ChatGPT and like, make this more intriguing, or just go on Google and write more intriguing words, or just like research. Or another thing is like go outside your niche. I love going into like finance YouTube and just be like, oh, that's unique. Like, how do I make that like in fitness? Yeah. So I think it's just like constantly going back to it. And every once in a while, I'll take a complete gamble and I'll do it. And then I'll be like, on Monday, because I post on Saturdays, if the video's tanking, doesn't matter, try switching it. And so sometimes like I just try and not make every video's title, not that I'm like, oh, let's just gamble. Yeah. But every once in a while, I'm like, oh, let's just gamble this one. And like YouTube's a lot more forgiving now that like videos can start picking back up after a little bit. But I won't lie, I'm always on to the next at the same time. So I'm like not really great. Consistent. Yeah. So I'm like, sometimes I'm like in my mind, I'm like, oh, Monday, I'll go back to it. And then Monday comes, I'm like, that's old news. We're on to the next.
Yeah.
So
right.
In theory, I check it more than I do.
From your experience, what makes a good YouTube thumbnail, especially now in 2025 in your niche?
Yeah. And I was talking my niche because like when I look over in like gamer YouTube, I'm like, that would not look good. That would not do well over here. Like Mike Downey, we'll use him because we're both good friends. With like the wow face, like doesn't really do as well on mine. Right. Like I think for mine is like it's slightly aspirational but achievable. Like that photo just seems like a lifestyle you would kind of want, but not like crazy. Like I'm not a billionaire in this like Victoria's Secret body and driving a lap. Like not that, just being like, oh, that would be me if I, not even like body, just the vibe. Like I just feel it's like, that's just like, I think that's what like health and wellness is just like achievable best versions of you. So I think if it's a photo that's like, oh, if I watch this, maybe I'll just get a little bit closer to whatever said goal I want. And like, however that shows, whether it just be like a really relaxing looking morning routine, be like, oh, I would love to have relaxing working routine. Or like you see a before and after me running, like at the start, she looked miserable. And at the end, like, oh, she looked like she achieved something. Like if I watch this, maybe I'll see how to achieve something. So like something that just you think will make you a little bit better. Or every once in a while, just it looks fun. I was like, it looks like it'll be a fun video. And
is there a difference between like female fitness YouTubers versus male? Because I noticed like, I do see a bit of difference. Like the male ones, they are maybe like the huge exaggerations, whereas women is like, it is the more aspirational. Is there like that clear difference?
Yes and no, because like I also know a lot of like male YouTubers who have like really pretty thumbnails. Okay. So there's definitely like niches. Like I think of our friend Joe Lee. He has very beautiful thumbnails.
That's true.
And so like it's not so black and white, but if I had to like paint with a broad brush of just like bodybuilding male, get jacked YouTube versus like wellness Pilates girlies, like our thumbnails are like typically prettier and theirs are a lot more like rage baity. And sometimes I think we're both jealous because the men probably are like, oh, you just have to look pretty in a thumbnail. And we're like, you just have to look angry. Like, and so there's like, and I think that's genuinely what goes well, but it's also not that black and white. Like just rage baiting doesn't work and just a pretty thumbnail doesn't work. I think there's the emotion behind it.
Your thumbnails are pretty though.
Thank you. I try. They're not always, but I try and just being like, oh, they're just a nice little photo.
Yeah. I want to talk about delegation a little bit. obviously, like we mentioned earlier, we can help you out with editing now. But before that, how long were you doing it all by yourself? And when was the first time that you hired out?
First time, I think like I sporadically did for like little moments, maybe starting in about 2020 for just a couple months at a time, like ask for referrals from friends and like would just do it for a couple months. And I won't lie, I'm not a great like manager. So I'd always like not be like, oh, send it. And then like I'm also gotten better at that. Like they would send me something back and it was not what I wanted. And I didn't know how to like express that. So I'd be like, oh, I'll just edit it. And then eventually I'd burn myself out because I was paying money to have someone edit and still edit it a whole bunch.
Right.
And then eventually just like be like, oh, sorry, I'm not going to work with you anymore and move on to the next. And then just do it on my own until I burnt out. And then just desperately reached out to someone else. And the cycle continued and continued. And like, I think it's really hard to have someone see your vision. And also you have to train people. And you also can't expect someone to have the same level of passion about your own creation. Like, I think that's a hard thing. Like it doesn't matter how long the video takes. Like if it has to be up at 8 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday, I won't sleep for 7 days. Like, you know what I mean? But I could never expect that to someone else. I've never done that. But like, do you know what I mean? Like you can't hire someone and expect that level of it. So not that the videos take that long. But it's like, it's a balance of finding someone who like can see the vision, but also not kill themselves to see the vision. And it's every time I kind of worked with someone. So since 2019, I'd be with some few months off for about a year, a few months on, off for about a year. For a long time.
That's actually a good point because I think with the creative field, it's quite difficult to delegate, I feel like, because it's like, how do you get someone to understand your vision and then making sure they do it exactly the way you want to? And you said you're better at it now, right? What have you learned about how to communicate to editors or people you're hiring out? What have you learned across the years and about how to communicate better?
I think it's multiple ways, but like the system has worked for me, maybe not work for anyone, but like in the past, I would just like send all my footage and be like, here's my idea. And then be mad that they couldn't understand that when they just have all this raw footage. And then eventually I like started organizing it a little. And then like over the years, you've seen on like every single photo is in a specific folder. Like
you are very organized.
Very organized with my footage. And I learned that the hard way. Even like so much of my videos reflect back on old footage. So I go back and try an old footage and I couldn't find it. And so now like every single scene is, so like all my videos I write are scripted. Not necessarily word for word always, but just like the vibe, the flow, the actual B-roll I want to film. And then, so I write the scripts and you guys can see the scripts. And so you can see that. And I think it's just like, you can communicate, like, no human's also that special. Like maybe there's a few artists out there that are actually like the Picassos of our generations. We know I'm like, okay, I'll never be able to get in your head. But for the most part, you can teach everyone something, but you just really have to make it so it's like so obvious how you want it. And I think that's how I've been able to delegate it. Is just making it like blatantly obvious for anyone who's a creator themselves. And then they put you two together and just getting to know each other over time.
It's just making it as clear as possible, as organized as possible.
And like, I like to think like, anyone I work with now, I like the idea that they get to be creative too, because then it's two creative heads working together, not butting heads. So like they fully see my vision. It's so blatantly obvious and enough that like they can kind of mindlessly do it and it allows them space to be creative. And I think that's when a team works really well. Like you 100% see what I see, you do it. And then you're like, oh, but we could also add this. And that's, I think, really, and we've got into a great place with that. I think that's where a good one is like, make it easy for them that they can be creative.
Speaking of delegation, what is kind of your team looking like right now?
I was like, I am lucky I have a great management team. But this is really like, in terms of the creation, this is it. So you and your brother. And then, my managers are in charge of like all the business side, in charge of like brand deals.
Okay.
So I don't, so I communicate with them every day. And there's a lot of missing gaps in my teams. I won't lie. There's a lot of areas, but in terms of like the actual videos,
What is the roles that you're looking for, if we can talk about that? Like, what do you feel like is missing right now in your team? You have the videos now, you have the editors, and you have the management. We'll talk about that later. But I'm assuming they handle the brand partnerships and all that, right? But what else do you think is missing?
I mean, that's the thing is like, I've always struggled with like, what's the next one? Whether it just be like an assistant or someone who could like, I don't check my emails as much as I should. And I feel really bad. And just like, it's just amount of hours. So I, once a week have time, but someone who could just be a bit more of like communication between emails and admin work and stuff like that. And that would just allow me more creative time. Whether it be just like taxes and accounting and like all those kind of things. So just very admin would be one. I do think it would help to have more like videography. Like obviously that's something that's really important to me. So I still want to do it. But like, for example, running content is very hard to film on your own. So I've worked with like some videographers recently in the city who are amazing and absolutely love working with them. But just like, and for me, that's so fun. I come from a team aspect. And so like we can work collaboratively. So like we go and be like, hey, let's get this shot. And so I think having a videographer at times, but like I still want to shoot some video. But I think like in terms of that, like having sound and all that, like I think it'd be really cool to have a bit more of like a TV show in that sense with like the production in the studio and stuff like that. But I also don't want to get ahead of myself. I think I was like, let's just stick with like admin and videographer and then we can see how it grows from there.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that kind of, do you see yourself that's like the next level up? And do you want to scale to that portion, or are you happy with kind of the leaner team? Like I've spoken with Downey about it, and he's like, honestly, like, I don't know if I want to go even bigger and have a huge production team. People like the authentic, just like the vlogging. I'm curious, like, are you looking to kind of scale up, like you said, the TV show?
Yeah. I think like I want an indie TV show is kind of like would be the dream. Like I'm fully in it. It's not like this big corporation coming in and dictating it all, but like I would like to have a bit more of a team aspect. Like we're all coming in, collaborating ideas, just a couple of us. And it would like my hands are in everything still. I would never want to get to a point where like my hands aren't touching every single thing. I don't think I'm there. But like at the end of the day, YouTube is slowly becoming like television.
Yeah.
I would say. And like I think my dream was always to make a TV show, like be on a TV show. And so like I always want to have like, I realized there's so many different aspects I love, like scoring a video I love. I do love script writing. I love the photo taking, but I also like being on camera. So there's still areas. But yeah, finding those gaps I'm missing, whether it just be the packaging or like I like the idea of making the thumbnail, but like I don't have to necessarily be in Lightroom editing every single I know.
Yeah. You want to be like the creative vision behind it, obviously, and like have the whole vision, but then kind of just like tell people to execute it in a way, right?
And like also bounce ideas and all that. But so I was like, I would like it to be a bit more, just a little bit more of a TV production. I think like we could just up the level of the content a bit, but like also I still want it to always be a place that people feel like I'm directly talking to them.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, I think I still need my hand in every edit and every script. And so it's just like at the end of the day, I can film on my iPhone and post it up.
January 5th, 2019.
Yeah.
You had a video go viral.
Yeah.
Your Tom Brady one is hit like 1 million views within a couple of days.
Yeah, something like that. I think I could actually remember almost day by day the view count.
Yeah. And now it's like, I think it's sitting at like 4.6 million views or something the last time I checked. Yeah. I'm curious, what is your perspective about going viral on social media? And is that something that you try to achieve with each video you publish? Is that something like a goal that you have for each video?
It's changed a lot. And I think this also comes to a place like me talking as someone who's like, been a creator for many years now versus someone starting out. And I do think it's different. And like I learned the hard way, but I think it's easy to say now, like, oh, don't do it how I did it because I don't know if I'd be here. But to like go back then is going viral wasn't quite the same because TikTok wasn't around. Instagram didn't really have it. It was just kind of like every once in a while a YouTube video would blow up. Right. Like that was kind of all there was for going viral. There was just less medians.
Yeah.
And with that one, I remember just seeing like BuzzFeed always doing these challenge videos.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, they did it for 24 hours and it blew up. What happened if I did it for 30 days? And like there's a lot more to go into the video and I won't bore with that process, but it eventually did go viral. And then I was like, you got to ride this wave. And my God, did I ride that wave. I was like, if it was a 30-day challenge that would get views, I'm going to do it. I don't care like how, and my body was in so much pain for those like year and a half, 2 years. Like I didn't have any routine. I didn't have any structure. It was just like whatever for the views. And just all I cared about was going viral. Because at the end of the day, like the sad reality back then, I'm not saying this is the case, is like I had that momentum, so I didn't want to lose it. So I just kept thinking like virality. Now the problem is like if I could go back to myself, I would have said, hey, that was an outlier. Go back to what you were doing before. Don't chase that one unique outlier that went viral because you will suddenly have to keep doing that. And I got known, as I remember one time I met someone who I really looked up to. And I met them at an event and shook my hands, and I was like, oh, hi, da, da, da. And they're like, oh, yeah, I've seen you. You're the diet challenge girl. And my heart sunk.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, that's what I'm known as. And I was like, I'm so like against diet culture. And like, and I realized I was like, oh, and that was the mission, like with the videos, like I tried to get that across, but I was like, oh no, I've like become my worst enemy because I just became like whatever the virality was. And I was like, and that's like an unbelievable level of hell to have like these videos and like you hate doing the video. So I don't think people realize, like, especially now, I guess you see it in TikTok so much and you can always just delete your TikTok account and move on. But like, I don't think people fear virality enough, like the trap of it, in the sense of like you could become something you hate. So I always say, like, before you post anything go viral, do you want to do that for the rest of your life? Do you want to be known as, you know, the diet challenge girl for the rest of your life? And in that, like, I think I would have, what my channel was before then is I was just like testing different workout classes. Yeah. And like some of those were doing good. Yeah. And I think going back, I would have been like, just hop right back on it. You got a little burp and just go back to organic growth and go back to organic growth. And about a year and a half, 2 years into that, I had to do a big pivot. And that was also hard because suddenly people are expecting like that kind of content. And I didn't abruptly change it, but I slowly had to, like, without alienating my viewers, but change it away. And over many years, I don't think that's why. I still do challenge videos, but it's a lot more like wholesome, dare I say. And a lot more of just like something I would just genuinely want to do. Oh, wow. But yeah, I think that's what I'd say about virality is like you should fear it instead of just chase it. And if you chase it, that's fine. But just like imagine doing that video every day the rest of your life.
You should fear virality, but if you chase virality, you should be okay making that video for or be known for that.
Yeah, or you just have to. I think Mr. Beast and like a Logan Paul are the best examples of like more. Logan Paul's, we all know the Japan story, Japan Forest moment, but like there's an example of like if you just want to like go bigger and bigger and bigger, do you just want to keep spending money and just doing these bigger things like forever? Yeah. Or do you just want to like enjoy your content every day and like just have it like a really supportive community that watches you? And people are going to debate. I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but I think people don't realize the bad side of virality. But you still like don't post just boring stuff. Like, yeah, if it goes viral, but I think it's that like just enjoy it, step back, get back on the horse. Like, right. Don't necessarily chase it.
Wow, that's I never heard it said that way. It's like fear virality.
Yeah, I think there's a dark side. I lived it for 2 years.
I want to talk about, people love to hear about this, like brand partnerships, how YouTuber makes money and all of that. As a creator on YouTube, a YouTuber, how do you make your money?
It's pretty simple. That ad you see in the front of every every YouTube video is Google AdSense. So that's, maybe half or something. I don't know. Depends on the month. Sure. So thank you for everyone who deals with that. That pays about half the video. Okay. And the other half is the annoying 2-minute. Thank you, AG1 or Element, for sponsoring this video. And that's really, technically, I do make a little bit of commission off one clothing company I work with. Okay. But that's more of like, they also just pay lump sums, but this one just also offers commission. But I try not to be overly commission based. Yes. Nothing wrong with it. But I kind of like the idea that it's like a commercial in the sense of like, it's not like I'm really pushing it. It's like, this is just something people are going to watch. If they really like the product sells themselves, they'll go buy it. And I don't have to really feel the pressure of like selling it. I probably lose a bit of money because of that, but I'm also an awful salesperson. So I like that I can make a commercial and not work off commission.
You have worked with many brands. I would say like there's Apple.
Yeah, Apple, yeah.
Gymshark.
Yep.
Vast. Nike.
Yep.
You have long-term partnerships with AG1. Yep. Element. How do you position yourself as a creator to get brand sponsors and brand partnerships?
That's a good question. I don't really say I position myself in the sense of like, I just like try and just be really authentic, like things I'm really passionate about and things that are really important to me in the message. I think at the end of the day, I have a few core messages that I want my videos to get across. And I feel really lucky that I got into YouTube in my later 20s and my frontal lobe was formed because I know if I was 18, I would have been like, Bill, yep, whatever, let's take it. And then I went to school for both sciences and marketing. And then I realized like whoever you take on as a brand also says a lot about you and vice versa. And so like, I really think it's important that like the brand partnerships really make sense, that like the consumer understands the brand even more working with me, and the consumer knows me even more by me working with that brand, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like there's a brand recognition all around, whether it be like you work with Nike, athletes involved.
Yes.
Whether you're an everyday athlete, a professional athlete, you know what I mean? And so like things like that. And I think that's really important. And just brands that like I feel good about. And I think I haven't really gone out of there, and it's a real blessing. And I think it's just by just constantly, whether it be promoting brands that I just genuinely love, and then from the grace of God, they've reached out. Like I've worn every iteration of an Apple Watch. I got the first Apple Watch because I'm such an Apple lover through and through. Like that was all I begged my parents for when the first iPhone came out. Like we did not have the means for it, but I just begged. I was like, I'll do anything possible to get this first iPhone. Like I'm such a Steve Jobs fan in terms of like art and creation. And then at the same time, like Lulu, my first videos were like Lululemon reviews.
Yeah.
And like, just because I genuinely, as like a Canadian, as like, I just thought they were so cool in the sense it was like the first brand that like women could wear that like looked cool, felt cool. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things. And of course, Nike is what started me wanting to get into content creation. So I think like I just constantly talked about those brands. And I think of like not selling yourself out. There's like a power in saying no. And I'm going to steal that quote from my friend Beverly Chang. One day she looked at me, and it was when I was starting getting some offers for the first time, like my first bills. And I remember like getting a couple brands, like I had no money and they were offering me money. And she was like, do you know how badass I feel when I say no to a brand? I'm like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. And not like, and like, obviously you don't want to be an asshole. And like, there is an intern working and sending that email at the end of the day. Like, don't so I'm just marketing social media manager. Like, don't be an ass. But like, I think it was like, that was eye opening. I was like, I just like, hold out to the brands you really want to work with, that like, I know I feel good about my audience buying. And like, there is like, I think every brand I work with, like I give to my friends and family. Like, I think like my family's fridge is like filled with Element, and like all like I gift Lululemon to my stepdad. Like, get him like everything is just like, I feel good about. And I think there's importance in that. I think you can't sell yourself out, because at the end of the day, especially in health and wellness, like your word is the most important thing as a YouTuber. And like, I could have made so much more money if I just sold one fat burning tea, and you know what I mean? There's so many things like this. And like, I wish people saw how much I've said no to over the years, and like big packages and all this. And like most creators, like I don't think a lot of people realize that, like how much money is offered by like the sketchier brands. So, right. And I think I just always, at the end of the day, I don't care about the money. As funny as it sounds, like I love working with cool brands and being able to pay my bills, but I just couldn't like sacrifice my integrity.
How does it, if a creator is listening to this, like how does a creator do that if they say, let's say, like you said, they're tight on bills and they need to pay their bills, and you know this brand that comes in is gonna like give them this bill that's like gonna cover, I don't know, 3 months rent.
Yeah.
How do they say no to that, even if they know like, oh, I shouldn't be associated with them?
Well, I'll go back to where I was. So I kind of had the power, and I think a lot of people glamorize wanting to be a full-time creator, and I think we need to break that bubble. I think you have to work 2 jobs. And I don't think a lot of people want to, and like, it sounds great in theory to like, I think people rush too fast to want to make content creation their job, and they get forced into that. And so for me, when I moved to Toronto, I was like, I'm going to bartend and pay, like, so I was fully bartending on weekends. So I had more time to work on creation. I didn't quit my bartending job until I was making more on YouTube. And then like, and after 3 months of making more, like consistently 3 months on YouTube than I could possibly make at the bar, I was like, you know what? I can go back and just get a regular job. And like, and I think it was like, I just had a regular job until I knew I could support myself from Google AdSense and brands I was working with. And so for those, you know, in 2019 and 2018, I was working crazy. I was working 40 hours bartending. And then, you know, before, you know, be working till 3 a.m, wake up at 5 a.m, go work out, do it all day. And like, it was crazy. Looking back, I don't know if I could do it now. I'm not necessarily recommending killing yourself, but I think that's an underappreciated way of just like, if you have a full-time job right now, keep it until you feel comfortable enough to quit and like it's a tough grind. Or if you can like save up and take a couple months off and just work on it, that's another option. There's a lot of others, but that's how I was able to not like sell my soul, is like just sold my time for a long time until like I felt comfortable, and then just accepted like, hey, I can go back to having another job after. And like, I haven't had to since.
Let's go back just to give the listeners a bit of context. You touched on your backstory.
Yeah.
So was it in 2019 you moved to Toronto, and so that's when you decided to like, you want to try to become a full-time YouTuber?
Yeah. So I think like 2016, 2015, all these, give or take a year on all these things. It's a little murky now. I'm like, oh, I've been doing it that long. I was doing it kind of for fun. And then I was just doing it a ton. And this is before you could really make money on YouTube. Like I remember back then, like I saw a couple of YouTubers I followed who took brand deals, and I was like, ooh, you're selling out. Like that was kind of like the attitude back then.
Yeah.
And I just genuinely was so inspired. I wanted to do it. And then around this time, you started to see big companies working with like Nike working with Casey Neistat and stuff. And suddenly you're like, oh, maybe there is money in this. Like not even like, I didn't even think of it that way. It's just, I was like, I just saw an opportunity, and I didn't know even if I would make money on YouTube, maybe that would lead me down to be on a TV show or something. Like I didn't know where it would lead, but I was like, I just really want to do this. And so I was like, I don't know why, but in my mind, I was like, moving to Toronto will allow me more places to film, more classes to try, more fitness clothing to try on, whatever it is. So I'm going to go to Toronto. And I was like, you're going to give yourself 6 months and like just devote 6 months of your life to make this happen. And I've been doing it consistently for like 2 years. I was like 6 months, head down in Toronto, and got a job bartending. So I'd been doing other jobs before then. Yeah. So like marketing, I worked as like a gym manager, like many of jobs. But yeah, I just moved to Toronto, got a full-time job bartending, and then all my spare hours were on YouTube. Was like, you have 6 months to make this work. And then I don't know what I think would happen after 6 months. I was like, you have to go home or try a different career. But I don't know why. I think I heard a quote on some podcast. I was like, you can do anything if you dedicate yourself for 6 months.
Yeah,
so like,
no, I've heard that.
Dedicate yourself for 6 months.
You just need 6 months.
Yeah. And it was almost to the day 6 months that like I was able, like I had that video go viral, and I got my first,
right. Yeah.
I saw my first Google AdSense. Actually, I think I had my first Google check like 2 months before that. So it was like 4 months in. I didn't realize how you got paid on Google. So it was actually several months piled up. So it was like $700.
Whoa.
Because it was like 2 years worth of AdSense.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So I used that to buy my first camera. And then suddenly I was like, oh, you can actually physically make money off that. And that gave me that little extra motivation.
I'm going to ask like, what kept you going? But you might just be like, you just like want to make it happen. Right?
Yeah, I
like,
think, you know what I mean? You're like young, go for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I do think there's something about the freedom and if I had anything, it was just freedom. I was single, no children, no one else. Like I could live off, I remember I did live off canned meat and potatoes for months on end. Like I'd buy a baked potato and go to the dollar store and get canned, like big thing of canned bolognese. And just like that was dinner. And like, cause it would cost like 50 cents. And I like, just like, I was like, I can do this. I don't have to feed anyone else. Like I can live off next to nothing. I was a 400 square foot apartment, no furniture. But yeah, I just had a dream and I was like, I'm going to fully go for it. And worst comes to worst, after 6 months, I realized I hate it. It's not for me. And then I can sleep at night knowing it's not. But
you tried.
Yeah, I just,
here you are.
No regrets. As cheesy as that is, like I just wanted to be like, I gave it my all and then I can sleep at night or it worked out.
It paid off and you're living the dream now.
Yeah, literally. It somehow worked out.
Circling back to now you're making a living off of it, brand partnerships. What do brands look for when they're reaching out to creators? Do they have like a metric that they like, oh, you have to be hitting this? Or is it just like, oh, Keltie is so authentic. Her community is so engaged. We want to stay working with her.
It's a good question that I don't have the answer to because just being transparent, like
that's okay if you don't. Yeah,
my all the emails go to my market, all those like my open, even though I do have an email that's like internal, my email that's like plastered everywhere goes to my management team.
Got it.
And they also know me well enough that I'm sure there's a lot of emails that I don't even see, and so they just kind of reach out like, hey, this brand's interested, and just like right there, I'll just kind of say yes or no, and then I'll be like, oh, let's hear a bit more about it, or tell me a bit more about this brand. Like I'm always like testing brands too.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of brands I test, and I'm like, don't really like this. And so I think they might reach out and be like, oh, we think Keltie would be a fit. And then I think it comes down to if you see them as a sponsor again. Like, I won't lie, there's some brands I've worked with which I love, and they never reached out again. I'm like, oh, well, clearly didn't sell enough. And like, maybe that's what they care about. And then other brands are like, maybe I've sold a ton of it. And so that's why they come back. And other ones were like, oh, like I always think YouTube specifically is kind of like a commercial.
Mhm.
Like I don't think the value of it is just if you directly click the link. Like
Yeah.
if 100,000 people saw your commercial,
Yeah.
like that's a value to the brand, like it's
Exactly.
brand recognition.
Touch point, yeah.
So I think some brands get that and
Yes.
some
Yeah.
are a bit more commission based, and there's no pros and cons.
Yeah.
But
should every creator have like a management agency? I feel like a lot of creators do. Is that very important? Like, are you leaving a lot of money on the table if you're a creator and you don't have a management agency?
I think to a point, like I think like at least for me, when I first started, I didn't, and so I just didn't invoice any brand I worked with because I was just on to the next one. So like I just would be like, oh, I'll deal with invoices tomorrow. I'll deal with invoices tomorrow, and then it's been 6 months, and I'm like, you probably missed your call because I'm like so focused on the creative. So for that, but then I also have some friends who's like, they like the negotiation. They love that. And so they want their hands on. And then they save, like I lose 10 to 20% probably, you know, I don't even know of every deal from the managers. But for me, they're like worth it because they're going back and forth. Like my manager will get a good deal. She'll go back and forth. And like every time, like every once in a while, I'll be like, I don't know. She's like, we'll ask for better. I'm like, oh, no. We'll totally take it. She's like, we're asking for better. I'm like, no, I'll just take it.
Yeah.
She's like, no. And then like, so I think like for me, like Danielle, if you're ever listening to this, is like, she will, and that's what she's so good at. So I think it's knowing your weaknesses. Like we talked at like delegating.
Exactly.
And I'll just take,
because I feel like with creators, like, we're just like, oh, like, we'll take it. And then we don't want, I mean, even with us, when we're like dealing with clients, we'll be like, we'll say a number and then we'll just like run away from the laptop. Like
100%. Yep, that's fine. Sure. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, it's such a struggle, but I can imagine like having someone to do that for you, to do negotiating with you, for you is like probably a huge help. And they can probably get way more money
100%
than you can. Because these brands probably have way more money than we think. All right.
Fully. And then I will also say, like, make sure you get with a good management team. And this is same from point of privilege now, having like a bit more leverage as a creator. But like when I started out, I was with a management company that like didn't treat me well. And like you can tell like this isn't a really common thing now, but like they would sell you as a package. Like in the sense of like they would go to blank brand and be like, oh, we'll give you 5 creators things for this much money. And like you were just like one of those numbers. Like you weren't directly working with the brand, and like they didn't really care. You know what I mean? You were just kind of in this package they were sending.
Line item or something.
And so like payments were always late, all this kind of stuff. So just you have to be careful. Do your due diligence. Like don't just be like blindly sign up with any managers. Like also, I get a smaller creator, I'll have to go with a smaller management team. But what is their accounting? Like, they might be able to get you a better deal, but like how long till you get that payment? So like just really do your due diligence. I'll say to anyone listening to this.
And should creators be thinking about sponsors and brand partnerships right away when they're creating? Or like when should they be thinking about that? Or should they even be thinking about that? Should they just be focused on the creative?
This is where I could like have hot takes. But obviously like YouTube's changed. A lot of people go into it now as a business.
Yes.
And they really aren't creators first, they're businessmen first, which I don't want to hate on. Like that's fine. Like you just want to like maybe document your business being built. And I think that's really cool. Just like an NBA team might do the behind the scenes and like they're not super passionate about it, but the audience loves it. So I think there is a place for it. But if someone who's like true goals, like I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a content creator, like you shouldn't have to think about the money. Like I always think at the end of the day, if you would do this only for money, don't do it. Like it's such a passion project in the sense of like, I've talked to some other creators, like me and JJ, our friend, like had this conversation of like, I think it's like impulsive of me. Like twice a year, I take 2 weeks off. I'm like, no, 2 weeks off for it. And by like day one of it, I'm like doing something. Like whether I'm writing a script or I'm just like, we'll take this little video and we'll just do this little, like, it's like, you couldn't stop if you tried. And like, so that's why I'm not saying you shouldn't think brand sponsorship. Cause like I said, you should think about where you're going and like what direction and what brands you want to work with. But you know, just try it. See if you would do this without the money. Because otherwise it's just another job.
That's
and there's other jobs that are a lot safer than this. So
do it for the pure creativity, the creative expression.
Yeah. Cause I think that's the funnest part. Like,
makes me think of another question. Is there, when you're creating videos, is there a difference between like, okay, this is all just for my creative expression and this is more like, oh, okay, this might get more views, and is there a distinguish, or you're kind of just, I talked to JJ about this. He's like, there's like videos we like to make and there's the videos that the audience like product market fit or something.
Yeah.
What's kind of your thought process on that when you think of videos?
This has probably been my biggest like learning curve as a creator.
Yeah.
And it comes like you start off creating just for fun.
Yeah.
And then you see what does well. So you just do what the audience wants. And at the end of the day, you are making for other people. So it has to be for your audience enjoyment. And that should be what brings you the most joy is your audience watching something they thoroughly enjoyed. But at the same time, you have to feed your creative soul.
Yeah.
And I think there's like two ways about it. There's the one that like you can't just fully just make for yourself, or you can just don't publish it or just don't try and make it a job. Like that's just like you can be a starving artist. There's a reason why it's called the term starving artist. And there's very few people like who can just like live that lifestyle. But for me, I think it's goes one of two ways. One is like every once in a while you just have to do a video. You don't care how it does. Like, you know, every once in a while I have one of these videos. I'm like, I had one in July. It was like a 30-day running one and all copyrighted music. So I'm like, I won't make a dime off it, but I'm like, I just need this for my soul. Wow. Like this video, I don't want to, you know, make it lukewarm. I want this song in this video. So who cares about the money to do it? And it was so alive. And I go back and watch that video and like it brings me such joy. And I hope it brought my audience joy. Yeah. And there's a lot of videos that like I hear like my audience comment and like, oh, I enjoyed that 20 minutes. And that brings me such joy. And I also think is like, challenge yourself. You're a creator. How can you make something the audience really, really like? And even if it's not the sexiest thing for you, how can you make it fun? So for me, like a lot of my videos are like sit down videos now. And they're like, they can be very boring. They're borderline podcasts, but I storyboard every shot. And so like, it's so fun and creative for me that like I have my A-roll day, I sit there and it's just very da-da-da. And we try and make it fun. Like, how do I make it fun for me to film? And then the next day I go and like, I think you can do both. And you just have to think a little harder. Like, how do you make this like boring topic exciting? How do you make this mundane topic that maybe your audience would like more than you like making? And how do you make it so you enjoy filming it? Yeah. Maybe get out of your home, maybe travel somewhere new to film it. Like just, you know, step out of your comfort zone. And like, I think you're capable of doing both at all times. Wow. And if you're like really, really incapable of like enjoying a video that you have to make, I'm like, maybe reflect on the topic you did. I see. And then every once in a while, you just have to, you know, the odd ones. I'm like, okay, this will do well. It's not that exciting, and so be it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Can you take me through just like from idea to published video?
Yeah.
Can you take me through the whole process?
Yeah, I'll try my best. So usually we'll start on Monday, which will sound a little reversed. So we'll start actually on Fridays. It's a little avant-garde, but it makes sense. Fridays are my script writing days. Okay. So I go and write all my scripts, do all my research. Yep. And that's usually, I was like, at the end of the day, I have a lot more on the to-do list, but like that's, as long as I get that done by the end of the day, we're happy.
Friday script.
Friday scripting and then storyboarding. So I'll go just make a big photos of all the shots I want to make. And
magazines.
Frame. Yep. And just like frame out every scene, like all the different shots I want for each scene. And like sometimes I'm really messy about it. And sometimes I'm really like, just have like a timeline like they would do in an actual movie. So that's Friday.
And do you storyboard it on a certain software, Notion?
Depends. I'm a little inconsistent. Like my brain's a little scattered in that sense. Like I use Milanote. When I just want to like have scattered thoughts. Okay. I use Notion when I really want it like structured. Okay. And every once in a while, like I'll just throw in Canva. So it's kind of like the vibe of the video, like how I need my brain to have it visually.
And it's literally just screenshot, plop it in or whatever.
And then just like write what it is.
Cool. Okay. That's Friday.
And then that's Friday. And then Saturday, the video goes live, the one previously.
All right. Yes.
So I know it's like, it doesn't make sense, but it will make sense at 8 a.m. And I always respond to every comment for the first hour. Because I always think like the first hour is your like most dedicated audience. And also like, just for my own mental well-being is like, they understand where I'm coming from. Like usually people aren't watching you for the first time within the hour. No. So do you know what I mean? Like after a couple hours, people will come and click a video and they've never seen you before. And like, you can't blame them. And they see and they complain and they have no reference points. I'm like, I don't need to sit there and just see that. So just the first hour, feedback my fans.
You'll just be on your phone, like see who comments, reply,
reply every single one. Unless maybe it's like real salty one where I'm like, I'm not going to reply to that.
Do you delete comments?
Every once in a while, I'll delete it if it's like causing excessive negativity. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whether it be someone comments, and like sometimes my audience is so nice and they'll come and defend me and like they're wasting so much energy, or like something that's just like a blatant lie. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like a couple times I'll see something and people will be like, oh, she did blah, 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 blah. Like they say it like a fact. I'm like, literally never happened. Right. And like people, so I'm like, hey, that's a delete. It'd be one thing, opinions. I'm like, I'm not going to delete every hate comment. Yeah. I won't lie. Every once in a while, one will just really hurt. I'm like, okay, bye. Yep. It's like, I just never want to see that
for
again.
your own mental well-being.
Yeah, I was like, okay, we're just going to erase that. But for the most part, like, I'm just like, you just can't waste your time in there.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed that I have a really positive audience. So I try and lean into that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's not waste effort. There'll always be some negativity.
Yeah.
So video goes live Sunday.
Okay.
I try and be off all social media, all phone. I'm just off. Like, I'm allowed to come up with ideas.
Sure.
Like, I have access to my Notion, but no social media, no YouTube, except my personal YouTube that I just watch, you know, my little shows I watch. My Molly May vlogs like that. And then Mondays is the morning is A-roll. So I'm filming like the A-roll, the sit down portion of it. And then the afternoon is like organizing that footage. I usually will like, you'll send footage then. So this is when I will go through it and like do my edits with it. So Monday afternoon. So Monday afternoon's a bit like mini. Sometimes like I have to re-script the video because I filmed the A-roll and I'm like, oh, I'm missing this. So kind of review what shots I'm missing, And then sometimes it's editing shorts, all that kind of stuff, responding to everyone who I didn't respond to over the weekend. Tuesday is pure film day. So can spend the whole day filming, but that's really the B-roll shots or the vlog shots, the shots that are not me sitting at a chair. So I'm just out filming those, but also I have a lot of challenges. So like every day I'm filming something. Do you know what I mean? Like it might just be like a shot and like, so then Tuesday I'm organizing all that footage and then once again, editing something, or it might just be organizing footage by the time I do all that. And then like a little admin work. And then Wednesday, usually I'm editing again, the stuff you sent me if I didn't get to it Monday. And then that's when I move into more short form and then also take the thumbnails. So like Tuesday afternoon, this is where there's some variance, but you know, Tuesday I'll have the idea for the thumbnail or Wednesday the idea and then actually go shoot it. Or I'll do short form. So Wednesday, Thursday are kind of avant-garde that they're, that's not the proper word, but they're a little mismatched in the sense of like, it's a combination of like planning my thumbnails, taking the thumbnails, planning short form footage, doing that. If I have to take a meeting with someone, it's going to be a Wednesday or Thursday afternoon because I can like leave a little bit of room, can answer emails. And then Thursday, making sure to edit that. Everything's ready to go for Saturday's video. So just double checking it all. Any changes, usually I'm pretty lucky the brands don't need that many changes. But that might be when I do it. Like I said something wrong that they don't want and I got to delete it or add on. And that's kind of the structure. And then Friday, scripting. And repeat, rinse.
9 years straight. Well, this is just process now, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's been
pretty similar.
Like for 5 years, I'd say. But like it's a bit more like I didn't used to script my videos. But I was like coming up with ideas, but I was also editing a lot more. So now I only edit for a couple hours a week. Awesome. So I have more time. That's why having an editor is great because I can spend so much more time researching. So I can take the time like getting like the actual article, actual facts and like all this kind of stuff and leveling up the scripts and the B-roll ideas. And even at the end of the day, I can spend more time shooting B-roll. Not in the past.
I want to talk about, you do script it, but you know, in your videos, you also have on-camera talking. How do you script or structure that out? Like you have the A-roll and then do you like think about, okay, during this A-roll, I'm going to be saying this on my on-camera talking. Like how do you structure for the spontaneous on-camera talks?
So it depends on the video. So if it's a video that's just like me sitting down, chatting, B-roll over healthy habits, it's all scripted. But like a challenge is usually I have to film a challenge before I write the script. Because like with a like 30-day challenge, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. So like it's usually just like going through it, taking notes as I learn things along the way. And the script kind of writes itself in the sense of like every day I'm writing a little something, learn something, kind of put it together. And then after all the footage is done, I will sit there and be like, what do I have? And sometimes like I don't even need to necessarily do much A-roll because I talk to the camera throughout it. And like I was on the go filming it and you're just kind of in your mind telling the story every day. And like I have it in Notion, like film day 3, make sure to say this. And like every day there's just little to-dos for the challenge. And then at the end, I just kind of really form a script. And like sometimes I have to come in as I call it the narrator. Has to come in and really push the story along. But that's usually how I do
So
that.
You'll be watching the raw footage like in your timeline or something and then kind of piecing it?
I kind of know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've done it so long, like, I know the footage I filmed. Like, if I have one superpower, it's like I have the backlog of every footage I've ever filmed in the back of my mind. Like, I'm just very visual in that sense. So I'm kind of just in my mind can pull it. And like I said, that's on top of being organized. I think of like as every day of a challenge, like every 2 days, I'm putting that into a folder. It's like day 1, and I might write workout. Day 2, I ran or whatever. And then so I can kind of roughly go quickly, oh, that's what I did, and then just I lived the experience, so I kind of know what was the lesson I learned and how do we tell that story.
Makes sense. Yeah. You mentioned how your audience will defend you on a negative comment sometimes. And when I go to your comments, they are very positive, generally, like 99%.
Yeah.
How have you like built such a positive community of like raving Keltie O'Connor fans?
Thank you. I do think it's like the energy you put out, in the sense of like, I think if you're someone who's like looking for like and trust me, I watch drama channels sometimes, like it's entertaining, but if you're like in the mood for some drama, you don't want to click on my video, because you know what I mean? Like obviously I'm not like obnoxiously positive, but my videos are lean on the positive side. So I think when someone's in a mood that they want like turmoil, they're not going to click on my video. So it's kind of just like someone who's really angry doesn't want to see of like 12 healthy habits to improve your life. So I think it's kind of like people who would watch that kind of content are naturally positive. So I'm kind of lucky in that sense. And I think that was also a lesson, is like back in the day, maybe I would like review someone's videos or something, you know what I mean? Like, or just there'd be something negative. I want to make a video because I knew the content was bad. Like, you know what I mean? Whether we'll just use skinny teas. I would make, but I will trash on skinny teas any day because, but it was a skinny tea. I make a video of just like 10 reasons skinny teas are bad, and just lean into the hate and the negativity. And that does get views. And then I realized like, I'm just kind of not naturally that kind of person. Like if someone comments back, say negative, I'm like, oh God, like I just not, I can't handle it. And I think a lot of creators can handle it. And it's just like not who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And so, I do it for views, and then just like be miserable. And and you are adding into that. And like, I think that's something like a journalist that's really impressive, like a journalist who goes into these really heavy topics. And I do sometimes go into heavy topics, but I think that's how I've kind of created a positive comment section, is just like my videos are naturally just positive and positive energy, instead of just like, I only try and punch up now. Like, and I stopped instead of like taking the time to like, and I think this is really common now, especially in the fitness industry, is like, and I get it, there's a reason for it. So props to the creators who do it, is like you have to go after the bad faith actors, and we need to explain why they're bad. But I also think you can also use that same energy to just prop up the good.
Yeah.
So instead of sitting here and every day hating on every skinny talk creator that I don't agree with, I'm going to spend that same energy like propping up Dr. Stacey Sims, who I really agree with. Yeah. And so like there comes to be a point where like you kind of mention these things just to provide context, or like save your audience from going down bad places, especially in the fitness and health industry, and like women's health specifically. Yeah. But yeah, just more energy on the positive and the good things.
And you think as a result of that, then that's why they become like raving followers, because you have people that are just loyal to your channel. And I guess that's a product of being so consistent.
I guess like I don't even like realize, like I don't know, like I have some like, people that are
I mean, like I have a to interrupt, but I have a screenshot here. It's like, I'm a simple creature. I see a Keltie video, I watch, like it's just so positive. People just like are loyal, and they just like love you. There's like another Reddit thread of just people saying how much they love your videos.
Oh, that makes me happy, because Reddit scares me. I haven't been on it in years.
Oh, I was just trying.
That makes me feel good. And like, I don't have words. Like sometimes it doesn't feel real that like people, like I feel like my creator, like I do comment the same like few people that are there at the first hour, so a lot of familiar names I see, and like I do run into the same like subscribers sometimes on the street, and it like makes my day, and like it makes it easier, because like I just think of talking to that person. Like every single time I run into a subscriber, like I think about them the next time I film. I run into Melissa on the street, and I'm like, oh, I'm talking to Melissa. I'm not just aimlessly talking to nobody. And I think it's a weird thing that I still haven't quite grasped as a YouTuber, of like how many people 100,000 is that watches a video. Like it still hasn't really sunk in, because it's just me in a room on my own.
Yeah.
So it never like, it brings me so joy. Like anytime anyone comes up, like I have to remind myself of like, not everyone wants a hug, because I'm just like, oh, let me hug you. Like, I just feel like internally grateful that people watch my videos, and like, I hope it brings them some light. And I think that's maybe why it's positive, is like, I just want them to feel good after they watch the video. Like there's a lot of content that makes you feel bad, and I'm not perfect, but I try and make them feel better.
Yeah. And it shows. Thank
you.
you mentioned short form. I'll touch a bit about that. You're primarily long form.
Yeah.
What's your strategy on short form? Is that also part of your strategy, or is that just something that you kind of do when you have more time to do?
Yeah, this is a good one. I would like to hear some advice from some other people you interview, because I'm like, I'm so structured with my long form that I'm like, you can just do this with your short form, like the same routine.
Yeah.
But like by the end of the day, I've done all the long form stuff. There's only so many hours short form. So I was really sporadic about it. And now I'm at a place where I'm like, you have to at least one a week. And so every Sunday I also have an upload schedule for a short. So it does come into like a little bit more sporadic when I'm filming it, and the ideas come, but like I would like to up it up because I do have so many ideas. I even have so much content I filmed in like vertical, because I'm always shooting vertical and horizontal, and that's just something like building out the team that like I just need more hours.
It's just a capacity issue.
Yeah, it's just capacity, but I'm like, I know the importance of short form, and like I do have fun with it. Like whenever I make a cool like a short that's fun, like I'm like, it's fun, but I can't sacrifice long form for short form. Personally, it's just not where my heart is. So if I get one out a week, I'm content. And
it's also because that you are long form, right? Is it worth doing short form?
Yeah, it's a catch-22 because like you can debate everything.
Yeah.
Like you can just do long form and who cares? But then at the same time, like I've had so many videos that like people see the short and then they go to the long form. So it's just also marketing. Like you have a movie. Sometimes like I do think my best performing shorts are like movie trailers for my long form. And like I've done that a couple times of like leave people hanging, like do a 30-day challenge and just like a little snippet of a short. And then people are like, oh, I want to see more. And I'm like,
have you found that converts well?
Yeah, it can. It definitely can.
Okay.
It's not black and white. But like I've had videos where say that like I have one video and it was like how my body changed running every day for a year. It was something like that.
You got like 16 million views on that, right?
Well, no, that was a long form. And like that one only had, I'm going to say like 200,000 views, maybe did it the long form 100,000. And then I went back and I looked and it was almost at 1 million. I was like several months after. And then I made the short version of it several months after. They got millions. And because of that, all the people went to the long form. So like it relived this video. And then now that's one of my best performing videos. Like it's up there in probably the top 30. So yeah, there's like definitely a benefit. And I just think if it's and then also sometimes it's just fun. Like I've also tried to give myself grace with short form, like just have fun with it. Like TikTok right now, like I thought I had this big TikTok strategy, and then I realized it's just a fun way for people in my YouTube community to see me, just like it's inside jokes.
Yeah.
And so lately I've just been doing like, just some inside jokes with my audience, and hopefully they see it, and it's a bit of like, oh, Keltie's on TikTok. So it can also be that.
Do you ever repurpose directly from the long form, or for short form you just make?
Yeah, I just make it like, and I know if I were doing like a podcast real style, like I think there's a real benefit. Like it was that kind of production,
like this,
But like I think the fun for me is like it's like a bit stripped back. It's just like a like you said, it's like inside joke with my audience. It's just a bit more of like, oh, I just filmed this with my iPhone. Like it just feels a bit more real. Like I think that's the fun of it. It's like, oh, Keltie's making a TikTok just like we do, like with our friends. Like I think that's why like it's a bit more intimate in that sense.
Yeah, and what have you found in terms of like coming up the video and making the video and getting the attention? Like what's the strategy for that when it comes to short form versus long form?
Zero strategy. It's if I remember to film it. Like every once in a while, like I'll do a 30-day challenge, but I did not film a single vertical. Not a single vertical shot was filmed. And then I'm so mad at myself. And then it's if I remember. It's just a capacity issue.
And then you just make it. It's just fun.
Yep. And I'm like, oh, lucky I actually did it. Or like there's so many that are filmed and then I just literally forgot I filmed. And I'm like, oh, I could probably go edit that. And I'm like, it's been 3 months.
I love it. Yeah. No, pure creativity.
And that's where I'm like, I am consistent. But then I feel, I think it's a Hank Green quote. And I screenshotted it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And it was a lady comparing herself to other moms she saw online in terms of their fitness routine. And the Hank Green quote was like, everyone only has 3 priorities. So don't compare yourself to other people's 3 priorities of like, and I think it's a nice way to like, we're only really capable of doing like 3 things in like, whether it just be your health, your finances, or your family. So, I mean, you look at one person like Boss Babe and she's doing all this and it's like she doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
On the flip side, you see, this and just stuff like that. And so I think that also comes down to like your job and like content creation. Like I think we only have so many priorities. So at the end of the day, my YouTube, the long form is the biggest priority. And so you have to let go that short form isn't. And for other creators, it's the reverse. And also don't have a business. And some people's creation is so I think we're just realizing that. I'm like, the priority is the long form. We all can only do 3 things.
Yeah. What advice do you have for someone's listening to this and they're not as confident, they're maybe insecure about, how they look or how they sound and afraid of being on camera, but they want to say, start a YouTube channel, move to the big city. They're inspired by your story. What advice do you have to tell them to kind of get them motivated to start?
Realize it's a skill. And I think people think talking on camera or just talking public speaking and all these things is just like you have it or you don't. And there is some people that have things just like natural athletic ability. Some people are just blessed and they have a bit of a head start. But I think you can actually hone it a lot more than people realize. And it just comes to consistent practice. So I think if someone's really self-conscious on camera, just say you don't have to post it anywhere. Just get comfortable, record it, don't even review it for a while. Just get better and better. And then I think one reason I'm good is because I've had to edit myself for hours and hours on end. And so you want to stop saying you say it and you clip that time and time again. And so I think it just is like the consistent repetitiveness of it. And we were actually talking off camera before a bit of like I've taken singing lessons. Yeah. And like I didn't realize like singing is just like literally something you can learn. It's just like playing the piano, it's playing that note. And same with talking. And so I think I would just tell people, and it sounds so obvious, but just start with simply talking to a camera and then try editing yourself. And it's going to be so bad. And allow yourself, because you look back at my old ones, how less articulate I am, how much more I slur my words, how much more filler, how much longer it takes me to get to a point. And I'm still not where I want to be. Like I review every time I record myself. I'm like, you idiot. Like you never kind of get rid of that. Yeah, I'm like, you could have said that so much better. And like I do a bunch of takes and like I look up to some podcasters I look up to or speakers and I'm like, oh, they're so elegant with how they speak and it sounds musical almost. So just it takes practice. And so give yourself the opportunity to practice. I think a lot of us are just scared with that. Like I'm so scared to sing sometimes because like I'm not good. The only way you're going to get good is doing that. So, and then just learning, like go on YouTube and there is plenty of research, like TED Talks about like how to be a better public speaker, how to be better, and then just do it and just be aware and just anyone can do it.
Have you played around with any of like, or seen the AI video stuff and all that?
I know.
And what are your thoughts on it? I'm just curious.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah. And it's one of those, I can't sit here and hate on it because like, people hate it on TikTok and those, Alex are all sitting there laughing right now. So, you know what I mean? Like people can, I think someone had that quote a little while ago of like, it's kind of like hating TV just because we were used to the radio. Like mediums always change as creatives and like how can you adapt it? Like as someone who like DJs and does music, like Ableton, we just talked about, like that blows people's mind that like you can create music. And at one point that was seen as very like, oh, that's not real music. Yeah. And now like Avicii is one of the most profound, producers of our age. And like, he just sat in FL Studios and just blue. And it's like, that's not real music. So I'm aware that the mediums will change and you can't sit here and just be like, no. But at the same time, the copyright issues really get to me as a creator of like, what's it learning? Like, where is that going to be? Because music, it's quite obvious. Like when you take a sample, boom, it's copyright. You have to acknowledge. Yeah. And now all these being trained, like so much of my voice and videos out there and like what is it training? I haven't given its right. Also, that's a slippery slope as soon as you give your right. So like it's one of those, I'm just like, I don't have any answers, as no one does. So right now I'm just like keeping it. And every once in a while I just think, I'm like, oh, that could kind of be nice. It would make my life easy if I just typed into Soros or whatever it is instead of filming me cutting an apple, like cutting apple. Yeah. And then that kind of takes away the whole fun of it. Like the whole fun is filming a cool shot. And I'm like, do I just want to sit and just be a data monkey? Yeah.
It's not about optimizing everything.
Yeah. So like, but I won't lie, every once in a while when I'm like lazy, I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of nice. But I think you just have to, as a creator right now, is like, we have to see what happens. And I don't know, but not that you asked me my thoughts on AI, but that's, I don't know if I want to play around with it. I'm like, I do for fun, but I've never actually like used it, I guess.
Yeah. No, me neither. I've like played around with it and there's like a lot of memes going on. Like people putting themselves in the NBA, getting drafted. It's kind of funny. Yeah. But I can't help but think like I don't know, like people talk about AI influencers and all that and like AI slop.
Yeah. And And it's one of those things like, I'm like, there's no way people want to watch AI. They want to watch
That's what I mean.
Creator. But then like yesterday, there was this AI video of like these babies standing up in their cribs and they all jumped out and ran away. And I laughed so hard. It was so funny. And I was like, oh my God, you cannot laugh at AI, Keltie. And it was just like, every once in a while you'll see a video and for like a split second, you'll not realize it's AI.
Yes.
And I'm like,
yes.
oh, they got me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm chronically staring at the screens. Like I'm very aware of what's that, but like every once in a while it's so good now. So
yeah, it's scary.
I don't know, but I always just tell myself, people always want to know what the cool girls are doing. So there'll always be influencers. Like, will we really want to know what the AI influencer? I'm like, you always want to know what that cool girl in your high school is wearing on her lips.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I tell myself. And I'm like, there'll always be a need for that actual human.
There's always going to be a need for the real lived experiences. At least that's what I hope.
I think there's enough of us that we can band together. And then we'll be like, okay, we'll just
exactly.
We'll go back to magazines.
Exactly. We gotta go back to the old mediums.
Yeah.
So we've been doing a tradition on this show where we asked the guests from the previous episode what question they want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that question, and I'll play for you here.
Talk to me about your hardest moment in business so far.
That's the question.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say as like a creator.
Yes.
So not business, I guess.
It is a business.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm just going to say like my lowest moment when I wanted to quit. It was January 5th, 2018.
Okay.
Tom Brady video.
Yep.
I had this idea for this video. I'd worked on it for a month. I sat on it. I was in Toronto, flew back for Christmas. I didn't edit the video. I just kind of put it off. I was like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And then I just had the spur of energy. And I was like, I'm going to edit this. And I remember editing it, sitting up in my parents' like loft on my little laptop and just, and I was like, and it just flew. Like it just flew by. I was like, I think there's something here. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm like, oh, this is fun. And then flew back. And then I had announced the week before to my audience, I was like, all of 2018 or 2019, when it was, I'm going to upload every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. I won't miss one all year.
Okay.
Flew back. So I went to export it that night with real slow Wi-Fi. So I was going to upload. And I'm going to butcher some of these ideas, but I had to get up to go fly to Toronto. And I woke up and the video hadn't uploaded in the middle of the night. So I was going to press play before I took off. And I was like, oh no. And I had to leave to the airport. So I couldn't do it. And like, it just didn't upload in time or something. I think like, or my laptop died. Get to Toronto. And then suddenly I was like, hey, I'm going to, as soon as I land, get it. So at least it's up on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I get there and it just wouldn't upload. Like I had such slow Wi-Fi. And this was like a long time ago. Like, and I just couldn't get it. It was like snowing. It was late at night. And it was just, I couldn't get it up. And I had this whole vision, like I'd done my vision boarding for the year. It was January, you know what I mean? Like I had this big vision. I'd been in Toronto 6 months. I'd given it my all. I had this big video idea I really wanted to get across. And like I had this upload schedule, and this upload schedule was going to get me because it was all about uploading as many times back then.
Yes.
And then once again, it failed again. And I just couldn't get it up. And then, Friday morning, I wake up and the video is finally uploaded. And I was so scared about because it was about upload times back then because it was less algorithm.
Yes.
And I missed these upload times. And I was so defeated. And I remember just hitting play, slamming my laptop and just walking. And it was like a snowstorm in Toronto. And I walked around downtown Toronto, bawling my eyes out for 3 hours. I'm like, what are you doing? You're in like downtown Toronto on your own, away from your friends and family. You're trying to make YouTube a thing. I was like, and just so upset. And then I pulled out my phone and my friend had texted me. She's like, Keltie, I think you're going viral. I was like, what? And at the time I knew a video was doing good if I got 1 view per minute of upload. So if I got 60 views in the first hour and me, like that was going to be a good video. And it was at 1,000.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, what a second. And I kept just refreshing. 2,000, refresh, 3,000. And then it just kept going, and then it was 20,000. And like, this was, like I said, it wasn't just like a popular video, it was like virality. And then my friend messaged me like the next morning and was like, you're on Barstool. And I was on the front of Barstool, I'd sent it. And then it just catapulted. And so I think it was just that one day, like I set all my heart and soul on this and just like gave up, and I was ready to just quit it all and open my phone, and it was a viral video. And I remember the exact moment where I just like sat and just like, it was like a sigh of relief. It was like the best feeling where I'm like, oh, I did it. Like it just gave me hope. It just gave me motivation. It's like, you can do this. Like it wasn't a waste you moving here, all that effort, all that work, like, and it like reignited. But
so So if that video hadn't gone viral, would you have quit?
I think I would have. I think I would have been like, hey, trying to think something else. I've given it my all for 6 months and it's not working. And it was my signs. Everything was going wrong. It didn't want to upload. It didn't want to upload. It was like the universe telling me, you're not supposed to do this. Like, this is your big idea. It's not working. Yeah.
Someone's listening to this. At what point should someone quit? At what point, how do you decide when to quit and when to keep going? Because you're saying if you didn't go viral, you would have quit. That was 6 months in?
Yeah. I think it's if you like the routine of it.
Okay.
As long as you still like the routine of something, it says you truly do like it. Like, if you like the everyday filming, editing, uploading, shooting a basketball, swimming, running, as long as you like the practice, the game day will always be worth it. And eventually, if you're just doing it for the game day and you're miserable in practice and all that, and there gets to be a point where you're like, this isn't working, and you genuinely hate every aspect of it, okay, why are you doing that to yourself? But as long as you genuinely enjoy the process, I think you'll eventually make it. I don't know a single person who's literally gave their all and gotten to be part of the 1% of something because they put in all the effort, all that. You just might have to put in more effort. It doesn't mean just showing up. Maybe you have to go back to school. Maybe you have to educate yourself more. Maybe you have to get a mentor. Maybe you have to study the craft more. Maybe you have to just push yourself a little harder in the workout. Maybe you have to get a coach. But as long as you've done that all, it might not look how you want it to be. I won't lie, if your goal is to play basketball and you're 42, you're probably not going to the NBA, but maybe you could become the world's best basketball coach. I don't know.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It might not look exactly like it, but you could work for the NBA one day. So I think you might have to reframe.
But at that point, would you say 6 months in were you starting to not enjoy the process?
See, and that was the thing, is I think there's the example of that would have been the mistake. I still enjoyed it, but I just thought that was all, you know what I mean? I was I still loved it, but I thought it was my sign from the universe that this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. It was giving it my all, and I was I love this, and had I quit, I would have quit something I genuinely loved. But I just you know what I mean? Just because it got so hard. But as long as you love it, and I was and it was actually the universe. Maybe it wouldn't have gone viral had I published it on the Thursday.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
the universe was just okay, we're just going to push this. She really does like this. And
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, and it was and I think that was my sign. Is you do enjoy it. It doesn't matter if it's not working. You just have to keep trying.
And more question, you can look into that camera. Do you have for the next guest on the show? So
my question is going to be, what would the product be that you would want to create that doesn't matter sales, doesn't matter results, just a fun product you would love to have that even though you're that will probably never sell, but every once in a while, a weird, ambiguous thing that would be a mic cover that you're oh, I'd love to create that. What would that business be?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just a little fun. Same fun.
Where can people find you?
Pretty much everywhere. Just type Keltie O'Connor, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, got playlists, YouTube. I have my videos, Instagram, TikTok, and that's probably all there really is. So you won't find me on Snapchat or Twitter, but those ones.
You're a DJ too.
Yeah.
So find DJ stuff.
Yeah. So I like to always, at the end of the day, I want my videos to inspire people to move. I think that's but enjoy it, not feel they have to. So I think music or my videos when oh, she's having fun working out. I think I have fun working out, or a really good set of music that is oh, this is good. I want to move my body. Yeah. And I think that's my mission in life.
Thank you so much, Keltie.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you want more content like this, the easiest thing to make that happen is to obviously support the show by clicking the follow button or subscribing if you're watching on YouTube, making sure to like and comment, because the bigger the show gets, the bigger the guest gets, and the more value that you get. Another way, if you want to support us, is we're a content agency. We create content, we strategize content for a lot of brands and business owners. So if you're interested in that, make sure to go to the description or go to our website, famositymedia.ca, and just check out our stuff there. If you don't need any content help, but you know someone that needs content help, please feel free to refer them to us. We would greatly appreciate it. With that, I'll see you in the next episode.